The story of the UK begins long before the UK even existed. We're talking way back, before cars, phones, even before castles. In the beginning, the land that is now the UK was home to prehistoric people. These early inhabitants were hunter-gatherers, meaning they survived by hunting animals and gathering plants for food. They were resourceful and adaptable, making tools from stone and bone. Over time, these early Britons learned to farm and domesticate animals. This was a big deal. It meant they could stay in one place and grow their own food. This led to the development of villages and eventually larger settlements. These early farmers were also skilled builders, as evidenced by Stonehenge, a mysterious ring of standing stones that still stands today. As the centuries passed, the people of Britain became increasingly skilled in metalworking. They learned to craft tools and weapons from bronze and later iron. This complex tapestry of people and traditions formed the backdrop for the arrival of a new force from across the sea, the Romans. In 55 BC, Julius Caesar, the famous Roman general, led an expedition to Britain. He wanted to expand the Roman Empire and saw Britain as a valuable prize. The Romans were impressed by the island's resources, but they also faced fierce resistance from the native Britons. It would take another century and a new emperor, Claudius, to finally conquer the southern part of the island. In 43 AD, the Romans returned with a vengeance, determined to make Britain part of their empire. They established Londinium, a trading centre that would later become London. The Romans were master builders and engineers. They constructed a network of roads that crisscrossed the country, making it easier to move troops and goods. They also built impressive structures like Hadrian's Wall, a massive fortification designed to keep out rebellious tribes from the north. The Roman conquest had a profound impact on British life. The Romans introduced their language, Latin, which influenced the development of English. They also brought their laws, customs, and, importantly, their technology. By the 5th century AD, the Roman Empire was in decline, and in 410 AD, the Roman legions withdrew from the island, leaving the Britons to fend for themselves. With the Romans gone, Britain was vulnerable to attack. Across the North Sea, Germanic tribes saw an opportunity to claim a piece of the former Roman province. The Angles, Saxons and Jutes, hailing from present-day Germany and Denmark, began to raid and eventually settle in Britain. These Anglo-Saxon invaders were fierce warriors and skilled seafarers. They pushed back the native Britons, establishing their own kingdoms across what is now England. The Anglo-Saxons were a hardy and resourceful people. They cleared forests, farmed the land, and established a new social order based on kinship and loyalty to their chieftains. From the late 8th century onwards, Vikings from Scandinavia began to raid the coasts of Britain. One Anglo-Saxon king, Alfred the Great, rose to challenge the Viking threat. Alfred, the King of Wessex, fought a series of battles against the Vikings, eventually halting their advance. The Viking raids and settlements had a lasting impact on Britain, introducing Norse words into the English language and influencing place names. The Viking Age was a time of violence and upheaval, but it also a period of cultural exchange and fusion, which would shape the identity of England in the centuries to come. The year 1066 is a date etched in the memory of every British schoolchild. It marks the year of the Norman conquest, a pivotal event that transformed the course of English history. The conquest was led by William, the Duke of Normandy, a region in northern France. William claimed the English throne, arguing that he was the rightful heir. The Norman invasion culminated in the Battle of Hastings, a brutal clash of arms that decided the fate of England. The Anglo-Saxon king, Harold Godwinson, fought bravely but was defeated and killed. William, known as William the Conqueror, claimed victory and was crowned King of England on Christmas Day 1066. The Norman conquest had a profound and lasting impact on England. William confiscated the lands of many Anglo-Saxon nobles and granted them to his Norman followers. This new Norman aristocracy imposed their language, French, on the English court and administration. The Normans were also great builders, and they constructed castles, cathedrals, and monasteries across the land. The fusion of Norman and Anglo-Saxon cultures would eventually give rise to a distinct English identity, but it would take centuries for these two groups to fully integrate. Section 5. Tudors and Stuarts, drama, religion and war. The Tudor period is one of the most dramatic and eventful in English history. It was a time of great change, marked by religious upheaval, political intrigue and exploration. The Tudor dynasty, founded by Henry VII in 1485, would rule England for over a century, leaving an indelible mark on the nation. Henry VIII, perhaps the most famous Tudor monarch, is best known for his 6 wives and his break from the Catholic Church. Henry's desire for a male heir and his annulment from Catherine of Aragon led to the English Reformation. In 1534, Henry declared himself supreme head of the Church of England, separating the English Church from the authority of the Pope in Rome. Elizabeth I, Henry VIII's daughter, inherited the throne in 1558. Her reign is often referred to as England's Golden Age. Elizabeth was a shrewd and charismatic ruler who oversaw a period of great flourishing in the arts, literature and exploration. She also faced numerous challenges, including plots against her life, religious division and war with Spain. The Stuart period, which followed the Tudors, was marked by conflict and instability. The English Civil War was a bitter and bloody conflict that pitted Charles I and his royalist supporters against the parliamentarians led by Oliver Cromwell. Section 6. Industrial Revolution, Factories and Progress. The 18th century witnessed the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, a period of unprecedented technological advancement that transformed Britain from an agricultural society into an industrial powerhouse. The Industrial Revolution was fueled by a series of inventions and innovations, including the steam engine, the spinning jenny and the power loom. These new machines led to the rise of factories, mass production and the growth of cities. People flocked from the countryside to urban centres in search of work, leading to rapid urbanisation and the growth of industrial slums. The steam engine, in particular, revolutionised transportation. James Watt's improved steam engine powered the first steam locomotives and steamships, making it possible to transport goods and people faster and more efficiently than ever before. The Industrial Revolution had a profound impact on British society, creating new industries, new jobs and new forms of wealth. However, it also led to social problems such as poverty, child labour and pollution. Section 7. Victorian Era, a time of change. The Victorian era, named after Queen Victoria, who reigned from 1837 to 1901, was a time of great social, economic and political change. The British Empire reached the height of its power and influence during the Victorian era, but it was also a time of social reform and growing awareness of the plight of the working class. The Victorian era saw continued industrialization and urbanization. Cities grew at an unprecedented rate, and new technologies such as electricity and the telephone transformed daily life. The Victorian period was also a time of great scientific discovery, with Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection challenging long-held beliefs about the natural world. Reformers worked to improve the lives of the poor and working class, addressing issues such as child labour, education and public health. The Victorian period was a time of great change and upheaval, but it also laid the foundation for modern Britain. Section 8. 20th century and beyond, wars and social transformation. The 20th century was a time of unprecedented upheaval and change for Britain and the world. The century began with Britain as a global superpower, but 2 world wars and the decline of its empire would reshape the nation's place in the world. World War I, which began in 1914, had a profound impact on Britain. Millions of men were sent to fight in the trenches of Europe, and the country suffered heavy casualties. The war also led to social and economic changes as women took on new roles in the workforce and the government expanded its role in the economy. After the war, Britain faced economic depression and social unrest. The rise of fascism in Europe in the 1930s led to World War II in 1939. Britain, led by Prime Minister Winston Churchill, stood defiant against Nazi Germany. But the war had a devastating impact on the country. The post-war period saw the establishment of the welfare state, which provided social security, healthcare and education for all citizens. In the latter half of the 20th century, Britain underwent significant social and cultural changes, becoming more diverse with increased immigration from former colonies. The country voted to leave the European Union in 2016, a decision known as Brexit, which has had far-reaching political and economic consequences. Section 9. Conclusion. The UK today. The history of the UK is a long and complex tapestry woven from threads of invasion, conquest, revolution and evolution. From its prehistoric roots to its present-day reality, the UK has been shaped by the ebb and flow of history, the clash of cultures and the enduring spirit of its people. Today, the UK is a diverse and dynamic nation with a rich history and a bright future. It is a country that continues to grapple with the legacies of its past while embracing the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century.